Welcome. In front of me is the Huawei Nova Y90, and today I'll go over unboxing along with a quick overview of the actual device, like the specs and stuff like that. So anyway, to get started, let's just pop it straight open. There we go. Now this packaging kind of resembles right now Nokia packaging, where it's a little bit on a budget side. It's kind of what it screams at me like. Anyway, right in here we get a phone and plastic little baggie. Now the phone actually has some weight to it, which is surprising considering it is plastic at the back. Anyway, I just disregard this. Eat that to the side. Rid of this. Alright, actually, let's bring that back. For everybody who doesn't know, it's Huawei, so no Google Play services. So that means no Play Store, no Google Maps, no Gmail, nothing that basically Google provides to their phones. And you're only relying on App Gallery, or in a little bit of a more kind of stupid way, you could have a secondary phone which actually supports Google Play services, download an app that you need to use, which isn't, for instance, on an App Gallery, and then you can use Phone Clone to transfer it over to this phone. It's a stupid roundabout way to actually solve a problem, but I guess that's what you get when you lose trust from people and everybody expects you to steal your data, so they basically remove the ability for you to actually gain any of it. So yeah, anyway, moving on. A little bit of a case here. It looks like a super flimsy case, nothing really special, though it's still nice that it is included with the device. Even if it's garbage, I still prefer to see a case, because most of us will probably use it, and still it will provide some protection to the device rather than not see any kind of case. Now anyway, outside of that, we do have a what feels like a hefty charger. Let's see, this is a 40-watt charger. So honestly, it's not that hefty. I have a Mate 20 Pro, which is a 3-year-old phone now, and it came basically with, I assume, the exact same charger. It's also 40 watts, so I would assume it's literally the same charger. Then, obviously the cable, it's a Type C to Type A, and that's all we get in the box. Now before I actually go into the specs of the device, I'm just going to quickly put the case on just so everybody can see how it looks like. There we go. So that's the case. It does provide a little bit of a protection to the camera bump right here. Also has a little bit of a bezel, so you can drop it on your screen and it won't scratch the screen at all. So there we go. Now while this is turning on, I'm going to quickly go into the specs. So it's a 6.7 inch 1080p display, or 1080p by 2388. A little bit of an odd resolution right there. It's an IPS LCD display with a 90 Hz refresh rate. It has a Snapdragon 680. Again, this is a super outdated processor because they can't do business with anybody anymore, basically. So we're relying on kind of old hardware right here. I guess Huawei doesn't really have any other option than just slap in a old hardware just so they can continue existing. So yeah, like I said, 680, a bit of an outdated processor, I think. And we do have a 50 megapixel wide sensor at the back. We have a 2 megapixel macro and 2 megapixel depth, and then a flash. So basically we have only one camera and 2 sticker trash garbage that shouldn't be really accounted for anything. And we can shoot with that at 1080p 30 frames, and then at the front we have an 8 megapixel sensor that can shoot at, again, 1080p 30 frames, so no difference between them. I mean, obviously they're just the quality and resolution. Or maybe not resolution, more like the pixel density from the sensor. But yeah. Then, in terms of like the internals that we get in here, apart from the Snapdragon, which I already mentioned, we have 128 gigs of storage with 6 gigs of RAM at the base version. Then if you fork out a little bit more, you get, again, 128 gigs of storage, and instead of 6, you get 8 gigs of RAM. I think I said 8 twice, so one has 6, one has 8. That's basically the only difference. And I don't think we have expandable storage because this is Huawei, but I might be wrong. I mean, I guess we could have expandable storage, but not the one that we want. Let me quickly get a look. SIM1, and it literally doesn't say anything on the other side. So I'm assuming that this has no expandable storage. The reason why I'm like checking really closely for it, because as you might know or might not know, Huawei does have their nano memory, which is the same exact size as a SIM card, which also can be placed in the same tray as a SIM card. So one of those could be a nano memory or a SIM tray, and you can just kind of swap it out however you want. But to be honest, I don't really consider that to be a expansion storage, considering rarely anybody went out to purchase their storage unit like the nano memory, and it was at least at the release time expensive for the amount of storage that you would get, so people just completely disregarded it, and Huawei just stuck with it. They developed it, so I guess they're really trying to push forward with it, but it's probably not going too well, as their entire market brand isn't really doing too well. But yeah, now lastly, we do have a fairly decent battery here at 5000 mAh battery, and it can charge in 30 minutes up to like 50%. So that's advertised speed, so the actual speeds might be a little bit longer, so maybe 35. I mean, I'm just kind of guessing, but that's basically advertised speed, so you might want to do your own tests how the actual charging speeds go. And I don't see anything about advertised for like 100% battery charge, so from nothing to full charge. It doesn't really say anything. And I guess last thing to mention, obviously we have a Type-C, we have a headphone jack at the top. We don't have any kind of IR blasters or anything like that, like most of the actual Chinese phones do, and even Huawei used to have. Maybe just because it's a lower budget device, so maybe that's why they didn't include it, but it's not here. And I'm kind of looking for some kind of indication of NFC, but I don't really see anything. I guess I don't think it would really matter, considering I don't think bank apps work on here, though that could have changed. Are you serious, Huawei? Are you effing kidding me? Why do I need to connect to network? What are you trying to pull? Samsung here? Now, I honestly despise phones that force you to log into Wi-Fi for no effing reason. This is one of those phones, along with Samsung. Not exactly sure why the heck you need to connect to a network when the device is brand new, and there is no reason for it to check for like protections and stuff like that, because that's usually what happens. You need to connect to network on majority of the phones. Once it has been reset and locked, the phone kind of forces you to do so. But this one is brand new, so it's trying to pull off Samsung right here. But yeah, anyway, also Huawei 80, you can log into it, or you can just select maybe later. Oops, leave, and we don't have to log into it. And we're almost done. There we go. No, never mind. There we go. So now quick look, let's see, we got all this, no, not this thing. Honestly, I'm using my Huawei, the Mate 20 Pro, and it has this thing, and personally, I honestly despise this. And there's no settings for it to, at least on my phone, that would allow me to combine it back up together to be like one panel. So that's a little bit of a bummer here. So what we got? We got hotspot. Wow, okay. Do we have NFC? It looks like we don't even have NFC here. Well, no, we do. Okay, so that's good. Personally, I'm looking at like mid-range phones if they sometimes have NFC, just because some manufacturers will like remove them just to save on cost. But for me personally, I use NFC every single day, and to me not having it would be a big of a bummer. So it's one of the reasons why I kind of focused on it. So anyway, that basically would sum up the phone. There's not much more to say about it. It's basically what you would expect from Huawei. It's I guess just a older device now. Like, I don't know how to explain it, because this phone is not anything like super new in terms of hardware. You get similar performance to what you would get from like any other phone or any other Huawei from like a couple of years back. And one thing that I always kind of come back to is used devices or new ones, and I guess that's something that you might want to think about when it comes down to phones like this. Let's see, this phone comes at what price? We're looking at price of, oh come on, so this is a really budget phone, which honestly for a budget phone it's not that bad in terms of specs. It is apparently coming at around $250. So, and right now I'm looking at an offer at $250, and it is also including a what are they calling, Huawei Smart Band? Yeah, Huawei Band 7. So, but keep in mind this is from like Poland right here. I'm looking at like something like an eBay, but just Polish version of it. And that's kind of one of the distributors is giving that kind of offer. It's honestly a decent offer here. And the only downside of everything here being offered, even though it's a great deal, is the fact that the phone has no Play services. And if you can't live without Play services, obviously, no matter what I say, however I would praise this phone or do anything, this won't be for you, and you know that. But for everybody else who doesn't really rely that much on Google Play services, it's actually if you can get it with the watch at this price range, it's a really compelling actual offer. So yeah, I'm a little bit surprised, to be honest, on this one. But still, it's Huawei, so obviously some people will, even though some people might not rely on Play services, they just will be turned down by the fact that it's Huawei and the whole fiasco about security and all that stuff, which is completely understandable. So again, no matter what I say, it won't change your mind. But for people who don't really care, it's an okay phone. Not much to say about it. It seems to be good. Anyway, if you found this video helpful, don't forget to hit like, subscribe, and thanks for watching.